All right, guys, this is Norfolk Central coming back at you with a YouTube video. And I have about 2,030 subscribers on my YouTube channel so far. I thank you all for the love and support so far. I'm trying to do as much as I can on Instagram and Twitter. And you've actually seen a couple of my Twitter responses to James with Fearing the Spear. I have on with me as a guest today. James, how are you doing?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Can't complain, man. I mean, listen, Florida State is, you're looking at all the great news that Florida State's had so far. You got a new defensive backs coach, you got a couple of recruits that have shown some high interest in Florida State. And today we're going to be talking about another good weekend for Florida State in terms of recruiting. You know, you got some pivotal prospects that came in the week before. We all know about Charles Lester, the five-star cornerback, and Steve Wilfong even talked about how Florida State was in a really good position for that. You even had an article out, and it's going to have a confidence meter on Brandon Jacob, another four-star defensive back. And I know you run a great site over there. You've done a lot of updates on your Twitter account and posting all those updates and everything. Tell everybody where they can kind of find you and where they can kind of get your information from and everything.
Yeah, man. Obviously, the biggest one's Twitter, and that's at Fearing the Spear. I'm sure it'll be linked down in the bio somewhere after this video, but definitely Fearing the Spear on Twitter. It's the same thing with Instagram. New to that world. Not really big on the Instagram world. Don't do a lot of pictures, especially living outside of the Florida area. It's kind of hard to get down there. But if you want to see a personal side of my life, you go to Instagram, Fearing the Spear, same way. And then, of course, just the website. It's fearingthespear.substack.com. 100% free. You can subscribe if you want to. You don't have to. I love it if you do. I don't get no commission off of it. I do it because I love the viewership and the people that want to read the content for free. And I try to just bring a different flair to it, especially, with the confidence meters, like you said, the Brandon Jacobs one
Mm.
just dropped not even 5 minutes ago. So if you want to read that, it's no VIP content or whatsoever. It's just, pure speculation on my part. Just throwing something out there. It's just the viewership and the fans to read, man.
Man, that's awesome. Like I said, we all love having Florida State fans being passionate about the sport. I know Florida State's kind of a high talking point, even in national media nowadays. But 5 years ago, if you told me that Florida State's kind of in a rough patch there with a couple of different coaching changes, and now the narrative has changed. And it's just kind of remarkable to see some of these fan bases kind of getting back together in terms of positive news for Florida State. And I can't wait for recruiting, transfer news, and even spring practice and the spring game coming up also in April. So that's going to be really exciting. But getting back into some of the recruits that will be on campus, I'm going to highlight three recruits in terms of the guys that are coming in this weekend. First one I got is four-star offensive lineman Jason Zandimela. He is actually out of Clearwater, Florida. He is a former teammate, high school teammate with Lucas Simmons, who is now a signee with Florida State and has done a lot of great things in terms of being a consistent developing talent there for Florida State. Alex Atkins loves what he sees out of Lucas Simmons, and hopefully you can be able to see his teammate be able to join him in the next year. Now, with that being said, do you think with Zandamela having a solid chance in being able to have a interest in Florida State, considering his teammate is now at Florida State, do you think that Alex Atkins will be able to get more high school recruits and transfers in this class? Because, I mean, you look at last year, he only had two recruits and Lucas Simmons and Christopher Otto, and then he had a couple of transfers that he added onto it. Do you think it's going to be more recruit heavy this year or more so just half and half transfers? Or what's kind of your thought process on that?
I mean, let's be honest. Florida State thrives off of the transfer portal. Um, but but the truth of it lies at the core too. You need to be able to recruit at the high school level, and you need to be able to get the kids in that want to be there with the program. I think they have a great opportunity to land Jason. He's, like you said, he's from Clearwater, Florida area, 2024 class, 6'3", 285. Obviously somebody that you need in the trenches. And let's be honest, football is won in the trenches. The war of the trenches is where you win football games. I think it's great that he's got a former teammate now with Florida State. I know that Alex Atkins is recruiting him pretty heavily, especially with what we've been told and what's been shared to us. But back to your question, I think you have to get guys in especially on the offensive and defensive line, that want to be here, whether it's through the portal. I don't know what it's going to look like for the 2024 class. I know right now with the recruits that they have, they're sitting there, I think, in the top 10 right now in 2024 class.
Mm-hmm.
But anything can change. And obviously, you want to see the 4 stars and the 5 stars that are being recruited by Florida State ultimately commit to Florida State, not go anywhere else. And you look at the list that he has. You got Auburn, you got Indiana. I mean, I think he's got 20 plus offers maybe. He's got hefty programs that are looking at him that are on their rise to build their program, or they're right there with Florida State at being contenders. And I think that's what's really going to be a factor here for his recruitment, is where can he go to make that impact at the next level and probably play right, not right now, but maybe within the next year or so. And if that's not with Florida State, then who is that with?
That's true, man. And like I said, I've actually spoken to Jason a couple of times. It's an interesting dynamic with him because Lucas Simmons is from originally Sweden. He moved over to Clearwater Academy, and the rest is kind of history. He wanted to kind of get closer to his family and everything like that. But then you look at Jason, and Jason's actually from Africa, which, believe it or not, that's pretty cool, kind of thinking about that, growing up in different sides of everything. And I think it's just something interesting to kind of think about the different cultures, the different feedbacks that you get from him and some of his family and everything like that. So super cool to see about that. But the next person on my list that I want to talk about is a 4-star linebacker. Everybody looks at it and says, man, Florida State's got a linebacker coming on campus. That is something we don't see very often. And, when you look at it, Quay Birdsong is a guy from Georgia who is not really been offered yet by Florida State. And I know the reasoning behind this. I know that the staff likes to kind of slowball some of these recruitments in terms of linebackers getting to where they need to get. You also have to look at his size, too. He's only 6'1", 180. He's kind of that hybrid outside linebacker, edge rusher type deal. They really don't know where they're going to put him exactly just yet. And I think that's kind of the hesitancy behind the offer in terms of that. So I could see them coming into the weekend figuring out what he is, figuring out also his frame, his size, and everything like that. I think they want to evaluate him more so that way he can kind of be able to be a priority target. But as of right now, I think this is a situation where you only have 5 offers. You have Virginia Tech, you have USC, you have Ole Miss, Notre Dame, and also Georgia Tech as well that are his 5 offers. And you're looking at Florida State's depth in terms of the linebacker room itself. You got Tatum Bethune that's going to be a redshirt senior. You got Kalen DeLoach that's a redshirt senior. Then you also got Brendan Gant that's a redshirt senior. That's a lot of redshirt seniors. And you're looking at it and looking at that room, and you're really hoping that a guy like even Omar Graham Jr. and other guys like that, and even a Blake Nicholson that can possibly step up, and DeMarco Ward, different guys that can step up in that room, but you're going to need more talent in terms of getting the 24 class together. With Randy Shannon's kind of track record as a head coach and as a defense coordinator at certain spots and everything like that, do you think that Florida State is going to be more heavy this year, considering on the 24 class with all the guys that they're possibly going to be losing this upcoming season? Or do you think they're going to have to go to the transfer portal to get some other guys in the linebacker room?
I think we're going to see transfer portal heavy with the linebacker core. There's no disrespect to Birdsong, but the linebacking room right now, the linebacking core is just filled.
Yeah.
No matter if it's the extra, whatever it is, it's completely filled. Like you said, he's got those 5 offers, from Virginia Tech, USC, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech. And let's not crap on any of those teams. That's some good offers right there.
Yeah.
So obviously those teams like out of him. Florida State obviously doesn't like what they see right now. Now, like you said, this weekend that could change, and he could be offered by Florida State. But I think Florida State coming into it, I don't even want to say late, but I want to say coming in now. I don't know if Florida State would even be considered a top school for him. Obviously, there's got to be mutual interest to get him on campus. But I think we're going to look this recruitment and say, man, and 6 months from now, he's going to commit to either Notre Dame or probably Ole Miss or USC out of the schools that are just listed right now. I think Florida State would make the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Florida State would make a top 10, but I don't think Florida State would make it to the top 3. And honestly, I don't think fans should really be all that concerned if they don't make it that far. But like back to your point too, I think we'll see transfer portal heavy in the recruiting class, especially going into 2024. If you look at the past with Norvell, and that's exactly what it's been. Transfer portal king. You don't earn that nickname for nothing, and that's not by going out and getting the 20th ranked recruiting class like in Miami or 28th recruiting class like in Florida. You get there by getting recruits that come to Florida State.
That's right.
And not anybody else, but you still got to recruit in the portal. You just don't sit on your butt and not do anything. You still recruit. So I get it, but I just don't see him and Birdsong. I don't see him landing with Florida State, even if there's an offer on the table.
Yeah, exactly. And I know a lot of times with these offers and everything, it's not really necessarily could be a committable offer. So they could offer him and it be more of an evaluation offer, kind of seeing where things go in his last year, kind of slow playing a lot of different things with that. It's kind of a tough business, especially when you're having scholarship numbers and everything else kind of being thrown in your face at that point. But I definitely think Florida State's going to have to make some moves, especially on the recruiting side and also transfer portal side. And also, just a side note, we do run a 4-2-5 defensive scheme most of the time. So we are usually having two linebackers out there. They really value the defensive back position. Now, getting to our last point, and this kind of goes to my last point just then, Tavoy Fagan, a four-star defensive back, Clemson commit. This is very interesting because Dabo has this type of rule where his commits are not really allowed to visit other places. He's not super comfortable with that. I'm not saying he's super allowed with it, but it's kind of a weird situation. He told me this last week about him coming to Florida State and visiting the next weekend, this upcoming weekend per se, and just kind of talking about how Florida State's done a really good job in recruiting him, and he really wants to get up there to see the new defensive backs coach. And there's been a lot of opportunities for Florida State at the defensive back position. You're looking at guys like Jordan Pride, a four-star who Norvell just saw recently at his high school. He flew in on a helicopter to go see him. You also talk about CJ Hurd. He has been in multiple comment sections of my Instagram account. He nonstop comments. He loves the Noles, has been locked in for quite some time. His family has been Florida State alums as well. And he's from that South Georgia area in the Atlanta area. And just talking about the different things that Florida State provides. So they already have two defensive backs committed to the class. They're looking for a third, of course. They always love having the opportunity to get these defensive backs. And when you're looking at him from the Tampa area, I think this is an opportunity for Florida State to take advantage of having their defensive backs coach in there, and Patrick Surtain Sr., having those South Florida connections and having those Florida connections in general, I think are very, very important. What are kind of your thoughts on getting Fagan to potentially come in? What's kind of your thought process and Florida State kind of opening up the door in terms of that and getting a Clemson commit to possibly commit to Florida State?
Yeah, but before we get to that, I just want to tell fans right now: if you're panicking about CJ Hurd flipping his commitment, please stop. Please quit commenting on posts that I post or you post. Oh my God, he's picking up offers from Miami. It's part of the deal. He's a highly talented recruit.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to pick up offers, but quit freaking out. I firmly believe he's a Nole through and through. But back to your point with Fagan, I think it's interesting. Like you said, that one, I think he had to somewhat get a blessing from Dabo Swinney to even be allowed to come on campus.
Mm-hmm.
And back to the point, he's only been a commit to Clemson since November 20th. So it's not even been full 2 months. Well, it'll be a full 2 months tomorrow, but anything can happen. He's a 2024 recruit. He's a 2024 offer. And then now with Patrick Surtain coming on board, that's going to be his level of expertise. That's his area to recruit. And obviously he's a defensive back. He's going to build that relationship up with Surtain. I think, and this is just pure speculation and guess, if Fagan builds that relationship up with Surtain and they keep that relationship going throughout the season, throughout the offseason, when they can communicate, because there will be a dead period coming up, later on down the road, obviously. But if they can keep that communication, they can get him back on campus maybe for another visit, before the dead period, before, the end of the year or whatever. I think we're going to see Fagan, who I believe should be a 5-star commit, flip from Clemson to Florida State. I mean, he's got, almost 50 offers on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I I think personally he wants. I've never talked to him. I don't know. This is just pure speculation. Not too far from home, but if he can get an offer closer to home, and with a defensive back coach that has the experience at the NFL level, who's put people in the NFL, who's coached at that level, I think you take that over a Dabo Sweeney, who doesn't have that experience, and probably nobody on his coaching staff really has that much experience compared to one guy. They don't call Florida State DBU for no reason.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. And you even talked about it before that he committed on November 20th. But the weird part about it is he visited Florida State on November 19th, right before he committed over to Clemson. So he had Florida State in the back of his mind, of course. Unfortunately, he chose Clemson because I think it was more of a long-standing relationship at that point. And also on top of that, Clemson was in a better spot as a program, even though Florida State was reeling off a lot of wins and getting close to that 9-win regular season at that point. But overall, I think Florida State's going to keep opening up the door for an opportunity for him. Got a long way to go until December, and I think Florida State can really make some moves in terms of that recruitment. You also have to think about Florida State is ranked number 4 in the 24/7 sports composite ranks for the 24 class. 8 commits so far, so Florida State's got a lot of commits coming potentially in the spring and in the summer. Get your popcorn ready because it will definitely be an exciting time for Florida State as we go through the process and everything. But I really appreciate you coming on the video with me today. It was a very exciting time to talk about some of these recruits that are coming on campus this weekend. I know excitement is filled in the air. I know these young men are ready to get their process kind of started with everything. And as always, I will definitely put all your links down there in terms of your articles, all of the stuff that you do, and also your social media accounts as well. So that way people can definitely go follow you as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. And I appreciate everyone watching the video today. Comment your thoughts down below. Who do you think is the most likely to come to Florida State, and who is the next prospect that you think will commit to Tribe 24? I think it's going to be a super exciting process. I thank you all for watching the video, and go Noles.